So that's where I get in trouble because complicated for me implies it doesn't work. I don't mind the complexity as long as it gets me to the specificity I need. Like as a former scientist, it's after I have an understanding of the inputs, can I predict and understand outputs? And if the model does that, I'm good. What I have found, and I'll give you guys this, there's no shortage of like 10, 20, 30-year Wall Street folks that have terrible financial models. So don't let somebody send you some 10 tab, 20 tab thing. And as a result of it being that long, you think it's good. I've actually found, and I'm kind of telling myself, the best folks can actually get the answer quicker at the level of specificity. So I'll start off by saying for me, I've always done monthly models to look at a business. And it's a bit more arduous than annual or just looking at TTM. But I found that after I set up a financial model in a monthly basis for a business, I understand the business well enough to have a full day conversation with the owner about it. And it sort of helps me not just understand the business, but understand how things flow. And then you miss a lot of things in annual views, particularly cash flow, which would be one of the most important things to you. So that's important. The other thing that I like around monthly modeling, and it doesn't mean that I don't start off with something annual to figure out what my LOI will be and roughly how I want to do it. But when it really gets into due diligence, I want to isolate the assumptions that drive the model. What are the 10, 20, or 30 things that either are knowable and predictable or are a function of other things that, given their up or down swing, will affect the odds quite a bit. So I will admit I didn't clean this one up all that much. It's just a fresh one from 2016 when I was looking at buying a business. And it'll be a little bit complex. So what I'll probably do is just jump through the tabs on what I was creating and then hop into a little bit of the cells. And then anyone pop open a question whenever you want. Chat window would be great. So let me share my screen. Okay. Are you guys able to see that?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I will start. Okay. So what I was trying to do was have a model that both helped me at my level of understand the business, and then I had equity investors who were friends of mine from Georgia Tech, so engineers, definitely mathematically sound, but not necessarily finance folks. And so the first couple of pages were sort of lining out just what was in here. This was sort of a bridge on 12 and 12 months. I won't hop into that too much. We had some growth assumptions that I popped in, another growth piece, and I'll keep moving into, okay, so how many of you guys have seen the different color-coded cells in Excel and kind of know how people on Wall Street use those? So what I've done is a green cell implies that it's pulling data from another tab. A blue cell is typically either to alert me that it's different or it's an assumption that I type in. This is probably one of the few blue cells that wasn't that. I was trying to highlight this for my engineering guys. Black is a calculation, and then red is a warning. Something's there, or you want to remember to come back to the cell. So it helps me. I've spent hours in models, go out, have a couple of dinner, a couple of drinks, come back the next day, and you can sort of forget, what you did in the third, fourth hour. So what I'm doing here is pulling in data from different cells, and I'm building the income statement in a way that makes sense so that I can sort of understand different parts of the business. Like I said, I'm going to come back to jump into detail, but if you're doing it monthly, you need to project the income statement, the balance sheet, um, and then the cash flow statement. So how many of you guys have spent any time in the cash flow statement? Okay, excellent. All right, so let me come back to it. Like I said, so the cash flow statement to me is one of the most interesting sheets. The nice thing is you can build it from the income statement and the balance sheet. So you guys are probably getting income statements and balance sheets from companies. Once you have those two, you can build the cash flow statement. And that's why they don't send the third one. Um, if you're going to layer the company with debt, it's good to have a tab with debt. Capital expenditures, if that's an important piece of the business, you want to capture that. To your point, goodwill, Noel. So how much goodwill do I have? How long am I going to amortize it? It has an effect on EBITDA and cash flow.
What's interesting to me is I always have goodwill as the plug on my opening balance sheet. But this company, because it was acquired 4 years ago, the owner had $1 million of goodwill already in it.
Yeah, and then goodwill has a kind of weird definition. So most people use it as a plug, Noel. So you're in good company. Goodwill comes when you pay more for a business than the assets support. The rest of the value is considered goodwill. So you buy a trucking company that has $1 million worth of trucks, you pay $2 million. Unless there's some other assets to allocate that value to, they're going to allocate it to goodwill. Why does that matter? It matters because depreciation and amortization are non-cash expenses. They're accounting constructs. So they give you a break on taxes without making a cash expense. So goodwill on your balance sheet that you can amortize reduces your taxable income, reduces your tax, increases your cash flow. So it's not a bad thing. It's just something that if the company has done acquisitions before, you'll see it. It's also a tipping point to know if the business has done acquisitions. So if you're looking through the balance sheet and you see goodwill, you can be fairly certain they've done some acquisitions.